Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name's Jennifer. I have a crazy topic that usually my topics emerge out of meditation, emerge out of life experiences that are happening in my life where where I feel divinely inspired to share it. Um, and in this instance, I was sitting down at this computer to actually work on posting a previous video that I recorded, and like out of nowhere, Spirit just told me I needed to talk about this thing that is not even something that's actively going on in my life. So I'm going to, again, feeling divinely inspired. I feel very happy to address this topic. If you're just joining in, feel free to take a few slow, deep breaths. That helps you to connect with Spirit, be open to Spirit's messages. Just know that I've already done those things before I jumped on camera. Um, so the message that Spirit gave me today was around trying to change other people. And boy, I know a lot of us have done that at some point in our life, trying to change other people to conform to what will make you happy or meet your needs. And I just want to say that those efforts are futile. There are instances where you will find people who are a vibrational match for you, who will be, I'm going to use the term submissive to your needs and demands about how they behave and how they act and who they are. It will be short lived though, because we in our human experience can only stand to deny our authentic selves for so long. And then that facade will start to crumble. And sometimes we are stuck in such sometimes we are so far away from who we truly are that even when we eventually drop that facade, we put on another and put on another, because a lot of times we're so ingrained in being focused on what the world expects of us, or what that, and so for a time it might be what they might be focused on what you expect of them. And then when they're ready to release that and say, I can't live into that pressure anymore, um, they may embrace living into someone else's expectations of them. But eventually, when you start coming into your true authentic self, you no longer are worried about living into anyone else's expectations of you. You are only concerned with being your authentic self. Some people may not ever find that in this lifetime, but when you leave this earth experience, you will be back to your authentic self and you will have learned and grown from the experience. So it's okay. But with the understanding that all of us should be working towards our authentic selves, we need to give space for everyone else in our life to do the same. And we're all going to take different journeys to get there. And even if the things that you want to change about other people, you truly believe are for their highest and best good, it doesn't matter. Your path for them to get there isn't the path, isn't their path to get there. We need to give space for them to find that path. And what I would say is, if those relationships that need to change because they're toxic, then that is showing you are the one that needs to change. Okay. Actually, in any of these scenarios, whether you want to use the word toxic or not, if you have a negative feeling about your relationship with someone else, that is God speaking to you to show you that there's something in you that needs to change. And you might say, you might think of some really toxic relationships where maybe the other person is, showing narcissistic tendencies, or is, abusive, physically abusive, mentally abusive, all, it could be many things that you could say, no, that's not my fault. That's their fault. But let me help you understand, if you are in a toxic relationship, it's because you have attracted a toxic relationship and allowed yourself to enter a toxic relationship. And so the only person that can change those circumstances for you is you. Expecting anyone else to change, again, is an exercise in futility. It will not turn out the way that you want it to turn out. And that can be hard for us to hear because, and actually now that I'm getting into this conversation, I'm not personally experiencing this, but I have some people in my life who are experiencing this, who are faced with, um, these feelings of like, this has to change, this person has to change. And here's what I would say is, my guess is, if you are in that circumstance yourself, you probably have been there before. And I'm just going to ask you to look back at how that has unfolded. Did that person actually change? If so, did it change permanently? Was that a long-standing change, or was that a temporary thing that ultimately crumbled? If they didn't change, did you eventually move away from that circumstance or situation? And, I think if you look back at your own life and you're honest with yourself, you will see that expecting someone else to change never actually turns out to your benefit. The only thing that turns out to your benefit is when you allow yourself to grow and change. And when it comes to unhealthy or toxic relationships, that also comes with letting go of those relationships because the change that wants to come. So when you have a negative feeling about anything, but what we're talking in terms of personal relationships, right? When you have a negative feeling about a personal relationship, that is God's way of saying, you're telling me you want this, and you're here, and I'm showing you through the negative feelings all the barriers you have to get to this. So it's not, um, God does not withhold from you. When you want something, when you ask for something, the universe says, here it is. The universe delivers um, wholeness, health, wealth, healthy, loving relationships, anything that's within that fruit of the spirit, right? God delivers that immediately, but you have to be a vibrational match for it. You have to be it to find it, to see it, right? And so when you're, and that's, I guess, a new concept for many people because we're not used to thinking of things in terms of energetic vibration. Everything is energy, everything is a vibration. Your human body is vibrating all the time at a frequency. Um, and that frequency is determined by your beliefs, the state of your emotions, your energy in motion is what you are. You are an energy in motion, emotion, okay? And the state of your emotions, which are driven by your beliefs, are what determine what energetic vibrational frequency you are emitting. And you will only attract things that are an energetic vibrational match for that. So if you are in a toxic relationship and you feel like you are the victim in that relationship, you are vibrating or emitting a frequency of victim out there and attracting. So here's how I like to think about it. Think about a criminal, think about a murderer, a rapist. You can think of the worst in your mind, again, passing judgment on those behaviors because those are some pretty dark behaviors, right? Some low vibrational behaviors. But murderers don't kill but it's not just a crime of opportunity. If it were, murderers, rapists, they would be doing it a lot more, right? They would be doing it if they were just doing it because they enjoyed it, which again, that is a misconception as well. It is a misunderstood situation in general. But what my point is that if it's a crime of opportunity, there's many opportunities, but it's more than that. It's a crime of opportunity, but there has to be a vibrational match to that opportunity. So we can lock up all the murderers, but there's still people out there that are crying out to be victims. And what I mean by that is that also sounds very that sounds judgmental, and I don't mean it in a judgmental way. There are people who have emotional wounds, that the only way to heal those wounds are to see that those wounds exist. And the only way to see them oftentimes is to experience them. And that can come in the form of being a victim. But as we heal and grow, we get to a place where we realize that we are not victims and we are not powerless. That's where all those crimes stem from, is a place of power. The person perpetrating the crime has been told, taught, and experienced powerlessness. Okay. And those crimes happen because they want to feel empowered. And so similarly, there is a person out there that also feels powerless, that because of that vibrational frequency of powerlessness will allow themselves to be attracted to, cling to, and be a victim of that person seeking the power, right? So there has to be a vibrational match. And so um, if you're in a toxic relationship, it's because you've been a vibrational match for it. If you are feeling like you need that person to change, um, it's because you are now seeing that you no longer want to be a vibrational match for that. You kind of have a foot in two worlds, right? You have this foot still planted firmly where this was the relationship for me and you enjoyed it and you loved it and you loved this person. I mean, you wouldn't be in a relationship with them if there wasn't something good that you had there, right? And so you have one foot in that world where this is everything I wanted. And now you have a foot in another world because you're growing and evolving and changing like we all are. That's what this earth experience is. And in this new world, this doesn't feel good and you can't. It's very uncomfortable emotionally, physically, all the way around to have a foot in two worlds. So we do it all the time as we're shifting and learning and growing. But at some point, you have to make the decision. I'm going to make the leap and I'm going to remove myself from these toxic situations because they're no longer a match for me, or I'm too afraid to make the leap and I'm going to go back to my comfort zone and stay there in this a while. And there's no judgment on that. Okay. And we do that sometimes many times before we finally say enough is enough. I can't live like this anymore. Right. And what you will find is when you release the need for that person to change and you say, no, the person that's changing is me, you become empowered. And you also can find grace, and this may take years, right? This isn't going to happen overnight, but eventually you may also even find grace and forgiveness in that old relationship and for that person because now you see with fuller perspective. I was once blind and now I see, right? So as you start to see, you start realizing that they weren't the bad guy, right? Like we created this together. Um, okay, so I think I'm going to leave it right there. Maybe we'll finish with a comment. Who wants to speak? I'm going to finish since we're talking about toxic relationships. I'm going to do a self-love oracle card. Anything else want to speak to us today? So self-love oracles are designed around our chakra centers, our energy centers. So again, if you're not familiar with this idea of energetic frequencies, if that's new to you, of thinking of your life that way, it can feel very impersonal to think of yourself as, oh, I'm just an energy floating around out there. It's not impersonal. Like if that's all it was, you wouldn't have all these emotions, right? You wouldn't have these loving relationships. So our understanding of energy is very limited, but energy is pure love, right? God is pure love. God is the divine source of energy. And so it's energy is a beautiful, wonderful thing when you understand it. And so these self-love cards tend to be centered around our physical energy centers that are in our body. Okay, so two popped out. So I'll start with this one on top. If we have time, I'll go to the one on the bottom. Soul lesson, surrender, sacral chakra. I love this. Okay, your sacral chakra is your emotional center, energy center. That's where your emotions live. That's where your creativity lives, right? Your sacral chakra is where your reproductive organs are. That's your creative center, right? That's where you create life, but it's also where you house like all of your creative energy and your emotional energy because we create by our creativity is driven by our feelings, our emotions, right? Um, and so, okay, there's a lot going on here, but I do see this door one. So that immediately calls out to me. I'm thinking of like the Let's Make a Deal show, right? You got door number one, door number two, door number three. So this is like pointing you to like the choice is yours. Be empowered. Know that everything in your life is what you decide you want it to be. And if when you stop thinking to yourself that my life will be good when this person does this person stops doing this country stops doing this religion starts doing this um, president stops doing this, anything that's pointing outward, if that is what your happiness, your joy, your peace, your safety is dependent upon, you're looking in the wrong place. Bring it back here. Okay. So the soul lesson is to surrender. And it's not surrendering to the world. Here's the thing, when we stop trying to change the world, a lot of us think, oh, I might as well lay down and die. I'm giving up on the world if I stop trying to change the world and fix it and fix what's broken. It's the exact opposite. When you stop trying to fix what you perceive to be broken out there and you start focusing on what's broken in here and you surrender to the emotional work, that is the surrender to God. That is what will change the world. When we change in here, think about it. When your energetic frequency of your body changes, what your energetic frequency match to changes. And so the world around you must change. You remember those what do they call it? The magnet where you would draw, gosh, I can't, the little red, please, somebody tell me. Somebody please put in the comments what I'm talking about. You draw and it like the magnets come up and it makes a picture, right? That's the world. You are drawing the world around you magnetically. And you can't see um, the magnetic force, but it's an energy force that's there nonetheless. Um, okay, soul surrender. Let's see, I forgot these aren't numbered. These are like in alphabetical order. So let me is that how they're organized? Oh no, they're organized by chakra. Oh, they are numbered. Apologies. Number five. Card number five. So this is about change. Number five is about wrestling with what we believe, wrestling with change in our life, having to make some hard decisions. Um, and so it says, surrender to the creative life force. This is a message to open your heart more and surrender to the constant flow of new and infinite possibilities coming to you. By surrendering to the creative life force, you are unlocking a very powerful force within you. This creative force is unstoppable. It creates worlds, abundance, and life itself. You get to choose your attitude. You can choose to be open to trying new things, and you can be positively self-encouraging. That is empowerment when you are self-encouraging. When you encourage yourself to do the things that offer you beneficial new experiences, you are working to dissolve old aversions that might have held you back. Now, listen, those old aversions might be relationships. And so that's what we're talking about here. As your vibration changes, as your beliefs change, as you choose better things for yourself, old things must shed, must go away, things that are no longer a vibrational match. There's a grief process in that. Even if those old things, even if you're ready for them to go, there's still a grief process. There's still a loss there, especially when we're talking about a loss of a relationship. And it might not even always be that that relationship ends. Certainly, especially if it's a romantic relationship and you're no longer a vibrational match, that might be exactly what's happening. But it might also just be a relationship in amongst your friends or in your family circle, that you might say, no, I'm no longer a vibrational match here, and I'm going to put some healthy boundaries in place that, and say, I no longer want to be around that person. Or it could be healthy. The healthy boundary might just be that they no longer hold that control over you, that you can be in their presence. And you can say, yeah, I can go to this family event and be in that person's presence now, and it does not bring me negative feelings because I know who I am and I understand them better. And my value isn't determined by them. Nothing they have to say or do weighs or impacts my life at all anymore. That is a really healthy boundary that allows you to be still have some engagement in someone's life, but they're not determining your happiness, your peace, none of those things, right? And that is real. When you can really surrender, it's a beautiful thing that you will find. Okay, so when you encourage yourself to do things that offer you beneficial new experiences, you are working to dissolve old aversions that might have held you back. Feel into the courage and expansion of your heart and command your mind to serve your true desires. Now, for many people, that will feel wrong. Command your mind to serve your true desires. I've been told the desires of the flesh are evil or whatever. Your true desires within will always point to love. And they might be distorted with where you are now, and they might not perfectly point to love, but that's okay. The more you surrender to those desires, the more you will open yourself up to the divine guidance, and the more you will be taken on that journey towards love and light. So don't feel bad about following your desires. um, surrender your will to the things that support your liberation and move away from the things that don't. You know what is right for you and what gets your creative juices flowing. Courageously follow your creative impulses without doubt or need for any outside approval to nurture your self-expression and realization. And that's exactly what negative or toxic relationships are there for. They're there to be a mirror to show you, and the negative feeling is showing you this is not who you are. You are believing something that's holding you in this thing. It's These things are for your good. So rather than have to stain, rather than expecting them to change, find who you are and make the changes you need to make. And that may or may not include that relationship. And at minimum will include some changes to that relationship. But again, the changes need to be on your end. And if those changes are no longer a vibrational match for them, then that will determine whether that relationship stays in your life and how it stays in your life. And then the other card we got was elevate support. It's a 35, it's an 8. That's the infinite possibilities. So again, I think this is just recognition here that you are being supported from the other side. You might not always feel it, you might not always know it. The more you say yes to yourself, the more you say yes to your desires, the more you go within and follow your gut instincts and your intuitions, even if sometimes they will lead you astray, because sometimes our gut instincts are still rooted in fear. Okay. But that's okay. That's okay. It's not about getting it right all the time. It's about learning to follow your instincts, because the more that you do that, the more you will start to hear the divine guidance. And that's the support that's here for you. And it says elevate support. So again, elevating brings you out of these lower earthly chakras and up into these higher chakras that are your divine connection to divine source, universe, God, whatever term you want to use. And that is so important. It brings so much peace and healing when we can make that connection and recognize that support. The support's there. It's happening whether you recognize it or not. But the more you open yourself to it, the more you recognize it, and the easier the journey becomes and the funner the journey becomes. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there, folks. I hope this was helpful for you. This was random, came out of nowhere. Wasn't even planning on recording right now. So I think this was meant for all of us. I love you. Peace out.